Hello, beautiful strangers, and welcome back to another episode of Myth. When last we left off, we collected pretty flower petals. Isn't that nice? As I hit my fucking phone into my desk like a moron. Anyway, but yeah, seriously, we collected flower petals for Shimon's birthday party. And I guess So got injured too, but that's not really important. The important part is you're celebrating properly, or at least trying to anyway. But now it's time for us to venture back into the other world. And I did check just to see out of curiosity. Wrong thing, right? Oops, I didn't mean to click. Yeah, I wanted to open the character chart. There's no new characters here, sadly. I looked before I started recording. Anyway, let's get back into it, shall we? Hey, yes? A number of days had passed since I began to take care of Loki-san. He finally spoke to me after one full day had passed. Was there a kid up there? There was. Did he think it was weird that I replied so quickly? His eyes went wide for a moment. That's my child. Really? Wow, so Loki-san has a kid. Loki-san's kid always seemed strange to me. I spoke to a number of the other Ridari since coming here, but I never once spoke to Loki-san's child. What's the problem? Are you surprised? He smiled. I had never seen Loki-san smile before. So, how's he doing, Pop? What do you mean? Is he doing well? I didn't know. But I thought that he must have been because he was alive. Yes, he is. So I told him that. He looked away from me, then looked up at the stairs. He must be up there. He is. Loki-san seemed to be feeling nostalgic, so I told him that. And he replied that he was. Then we stopped talking. Loki-san spoke to me again as I wiped his feet. Why did you come to Asgard? What's Asgard? Loki-san said we were in Asgard right now. Odin-san told me to follow her, so I did. She did. Loki-san made Odin seem scary. That was probably because that's how she was around him. What do you think of her? She made me realize who I really am. I was just a shadow until that point. I thought he would be confused, but apparently he seemed to understand. I wasn't really sure. She's a banshee. He didn't seem to care about what I said about her. He just seemed scared of her. What's a banshee? Someone awful. I was beginning to like Loki-san. He told me things in an easy-to-understand way, although he didn't like Odin-san. I thought the two of them were similar. The name Odin fits her. Well, yeah, that's because it's her name. Loki-san called me an idiot. They're all just aliases taken from Norse mythology. Sorry, I don't know what aliases and Norse mythology mean. It meant we have other real names. You have a real name too, right? Names like Loki and Berserker are just silly things that someone obsessed with that crazy mythology came up with. Loki-san, Hodor-san, Thor-san, Vidar-san are all aliases. I didn't reply. Whoever came up with those names must really like the Norse mythology stuff. Each of them have their own duties. Hodor is the god of war. Thor is the god of lightning. Vidar is the god of silence, etc. God of war, god of lightning, god of silence. I understood why that might be the case for Vidar-san, but I didn't understand why Thor was the god of lightning. Hodor, Thor, and Vidar lead the Shadow Conquest. The Shadows, or Skuggi, are the equivalent to the Giants or the Jotnar. I didn't respond. Actually, I think that might be, if my knowledge of German is correct anyway, which it might not be, I think that's actually something more like Jotnar and not Jotnar. Like Jotnar, like Because I know the only thing I have just being is I know like Königsberg is Königsberg, and I think that's Jötnar or something like that. Could be wrong though. It would probably take a while for me to understand all of that. I don't know how to pronounce things with umlauts very well. I've not studied German in even longer than it's been since I've studied Japanese. What kind of god are you then? I'm a traitor. A traitor? The fact that he wasn't a god made me feel bad for him. It was like he was being left out. I'm opposed to the Shadow Conquest, which makes me a traitor. Really? Then you're the same as me. His eyes went white again. Yeah, I keep yawning. I don't want to kill the shadows. That's all I said. Loki-san smiled again. The smile on his face was so big, it wasn't like anything the first time he smiled. And then you are a traitor too. No, I'm Berserker. But I told him that I'm not a god, so maybe I am the same as him. Loki-san smiled again after that. You're an interesting guy. Was I really? Anyway, I finished washing his body, so I left. I heard Loki-san tell me that I should be kind to his son as I was leaving, so I wanted to do just that. Myth, Day 9, Deep Forest. Piano track. We deceived Shimon once again and headed for the grasslands. The same number of people were there as yesterday. They had all arrived before us. Worky today, too. Hibiki was in high spirits today, like usual. She was ready to start whenever. Would it? The chief stopped Hibiki, though. Mito, you should take a look at that mountain we're going to drop the pedals from. What do you think? Mountain, huh? I don't know, I'm like really tired all of a sudden. I didn't take a look at the mountain behind our house. It was an ideal location for what we had planned. And I keep fucking yawning. I don't know, that's weird. Because it's not even that. I mean, it's later than when I normally record, but I'm still awake for another like hour and a half, 2 hours at this point anyway. Odd. I also realized that it was quite a vast mountain as well. Yeah, I was just thinking I should check the mountain out. Alright, let's go then, my dear. The chief grabbed my arm. Us? Together? That's right, the less people the better, since we'll be walking around looking for a good spot. That was true. If we went with a bunch of people, someone might get lost or hurt, given what the area was like. Alright, you heard him, Riki. Could you take care of leading the pedal collection? Understood. Listen up, I'm gonna be gone, but that is an excuse for y'all to slack off. Yeah. The chief and I headed back as the villagers gave off a half-hearted reply. We found a trail that sloped up the mountain behind Shimon's house. This way. The chief proceeded forward, and I followed behind him. The trail wasn't exactly easy to navigate. It'd be rough for women or children to climb up for sure. It was a good thing that the chief and I had decided to go. Mito, you doing your job? Yeah, how's it looking over there? No good. All the places facing the veranda are filled with shrubs. Let's go deeper. Sounds good. Oh, wowza. We proceeded to go further up the mountain. What a nice view. We made it up pretty high. There weren't many shrubs, which meant we must have been close to the summit. The path we took, however, wasn't an easy one. Although, I suppose that's to be expected, given we were just following animal trails. Mito, take a look. The chief pointed at a cliff. I looked down, careful not to fall. Whoa. We were pretty high up, but we had a perfect view of Shimon's garden. This is the perfect peeping spot. I was too tired to joke around with him. So how's it look? The chief looked down the cliff as well. Given Shimon's house was at the highest point, the market and grasslands were positioned in something like a basin, which was why we could see everything so well. It's beautiful. From this high up, the village had a sort of pastoral charm to it. We could even see Didi and everyone else. Look at them all working. The chief seemed to notice as well. Yeah. I was not in a trance, but I couldn't look away from the scenery below us. It was like a picture-perfect scene, like some sort of painting. The villagers seemed to blend in with the scenery. It took some time, the chief muttered to himself. I knew what he meant by that. He was referring to Shimon. It took some time for them to accept Shimon. I can understand that. Shimon was an oddity to the villagers. It was only natural for them to not immediately accept her. It made sense that it took some time, because, in reality, it took me some time to accept the villagers as well. I'm glad they did, though. That's what I said. That's why I said that to him. It was obvious that they did because of how hard they were willing to work for her. Is that really a good thing? I wasn't expecting that. It made me catch my breath. What do you mean? Are you saying it's not? I couldn't tell what the expression on his face was, naturally, but I believe he was wearing a serious look. Maybe it's neither. I didn't know what he meant by that. The chief picked up Shimon in the grasslands and proceeded to raise her. And I was certain that was no easy task for him. That the villagers even accepted her was likely the result of the chief trying his hardest to show that she was a good person. You would think he'd be happy with the current situation in that case, but... We should head back. They're probably finishing up. He seemed to be dodging my question. At least, judging by the tone of his voice, the people who lived in this village were surprisingly easy to get a read on. Yeah, let's go. I wasn't going to press him for an answer. I had no reason to if he didn't want to tell me. There was plenty of time for him to eventually explain everything to me. I'd just wait for him to open up like he did yesterday. We headed back. I was so tired on the way up here, but on the way back... Huh? My brain couldn't even process what I just heard. So's gone? Kotomi suddenly showed up. The panicked way she was acting made the reality and seriousness of the situation all the more clear. She's probably horsing around somewhere in the market near the village entrance. Don't panic, Meito. His voice was calm. It made me come back to my senses. There was just no point in getting worked up just yet. Did you all search for her already? Yes, we already did. Damn it, so... We heard she was spotted by Shimon-san's house, but she didn't actually return home. Lady spoke up from behind us. Did she already check with Shimon then? So-chan. Don't cry. She isn't going to come back just because you're crying. I was mad at myself for saying that. Hibiki was obviously uneasy. Couldn't I have said something a little kinder? It's fine, Hibiki. I'll find So. You go back home with Kotomi. But... Trust me, it's Lieutenant's job to look after their captain, right? That was the best I could do. Okay, I understand. Hibiki clung to Kotomi's legs, still sobbing. Meito-san, please take care of So. Yeah, be sure to watch out for Hibiki too. She bowed, and the two of them left. Thanks, everyone. We're done for today. Sun's beginning to set too. Any children, women, or elderly should head back home. I'd like to ask the young people to help out with the search for So, though. I doubted that many people would be willing to help after a long day of work. But the more people, the better. I prayed that someone would be kind enough to help us. Like hell, I'm going back home. That's right, I'm going to search every last place for her. Yeah. Everyone raised their hands. I guess they all really were kind people. Thank you. I was thankful for their help. I planned on taking advantage of it. I'll help too. I have no idea where So is. It's too dangerous for you to go. Riri must have realized it as well. So was upset about the fact that she got hurt, plus someone spotted her by Shimon's house. The fact we hadn't found her yet meant only one thing. She had to be on the mountain. She must have come after the chief and I. She must have thought that she could help by searching for an appropriate place to drop the petals. Considering how reckless and stupid she can be, it was very possible that was the case. Please do your best for me as well. Riri was perfectly serious. I was too. Just let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Leave dinner out for So and me. That's all. Okay. After that, Riri headed back to Shimon's house. Let's get going. The chief followed Riri. He must have known where So likely was as well. The young shadows and I followed behind him. Sorry about that. Drinking some water. I realized something serious once we reached Shimon's house, however. The only visible light was from the house and the natural moonlight. The natural moonlight would, of course, be obstructed by the trees and such. It meant that darkness would be waiting to consume us in the forest. Chief, do you have a flashlight or something to light the way? Don't worry, we don't need nothing like that. The chief just kept going. Hey, hang on. The villagers followed him as well. Come on. I tried to squint a bit and focus my vision. I was able to just barely make out my surroundings. How? Was the moonlight really spilling through the trees? Well, I didn't have time to think about that. I just pursued the villagers. Where are we headed? I was curious because he seemed so confident about where she was. The summit. The summit, where we were earlier today. Yep, we'll be there soon. I looked ahead. I could see a bit of the moonlight shining down from the sky. Anyway, this was the chief, after all. He must have had something in mind. He turned around once we reached the summit. He was probably going to tell us his plan. We waited for him to speak. Now then, let's split up into groups of 2 and head back down. Huh? Aren't we gonna search for So? One of the villagers spoke up. We ain't gonna find her if we search as a group. The mountain is too vast and dark for that. If we all split up alone, we'll just have more people getting lost. So we descend from all directions. That'll cover the most ground and also guarantee our safety. I ain't saying it's a perfect plan, but I think it's the best we've got. Anyone against that? No one spoke up. I wasn't against it either. I thought it was a rather solid plan given the situation. Alright, let's decide on groups. The chief quickly formed teams. He created balanced groups out of the young people. And last will be me and Meito, okay? Alright. We began to head back down the mountain. Don't go too far or anything, just focus on descending. Yeah. Shout as loud as you can. Only go off track if you hear something, that's all we gotta do. Just keep screaming till your throat's all hoarse. Yeah. Let me repeat once more. Don't go too far. Prioritize your own safety. Let's do this. We all gave off an energetic shout, then began to scream and search for So. Mito, you ready? Yeah. The chief and I began to descend from the summit once everyone else did. So, get your ass out here. Eventually the sound of the others faded away. All I could hear was my own voice and the chief's. So, all we could do was shout for her. So. And we shouted as loud as we could. What else was I going to use my voice for? So long as I could say happy birthday to Shimon tomorrow, it didn't matter. So, my throat was becoming sore after a while though. I wasn't the type who spoke loudly. Yeah, me neither. I just had to keep on trying. So, it's not like I'd ever shout for any other reason. Shouting wasn't a good thing in my world, so I should take advantage of that fact here. Oh. Me too. Me too. Before I realized it, everything was far brighter than before. It hurt my eyes, given how long we were in the darkness. So, I couldn't accept that she was gone. It made no sense. Why was Shimon's house right there? Why were all the young villagers here, too? Why were they all hanging their heads? It was just a coincidence. We just didn't happen to find her. It's bad luck. We should try again. Mito, it's too late. No, just one more. We'll find her. Think about how much we shouted. We would have found her if she was there. That doesn't mean anything, because she's not here. She was heard from yesterday and ascended the mountain. On top of that, it's possible she wore herself out and fell asleep. We'll search again tomorrow. We'll find her when it's nice and bright out. He was right, but I couldn't accept that. It felt like a large spoon or something was stirring around inside my stomach. It felt so useless. I felt so sad. I finally learned when tears would arise. When you're upset, when things are tough, when things are desperate. Of course, that applied to the secret base incident the other day, too. But I didn't cry. I just gazed at the mountains, dumbstruck. I just felt so powerless, and the gentle breeze seemed to affirm that. It was like I was powerless as the breeze. Let's go, Mito. I couldn't even think of anything. It was like my mind had gone completely blank. All I could do was head back to Shimon's house, unable to do a thing. And I think this is where I'm going to end off this episode. And next time, well, will we find So? And, well, I hope to see you all next time.